Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Look, we're diving straight into the science of vocabulary today. We're going to figure out exactly how you can take advanced terminology and naturally weave it right into your daily professional conversations. You already know your words matter, right? But seriously, the specific words you pick can literally be the difference between just sitting in a meeting and actively running it. We're going to break down the hard data, and I'll give you a super actionable daily routine to level up your communication. Let's get into it.
So, ask yourself this: does your vocabulary project true confidence, or is it secretly broadcasting your discomfort? It's a tough question, I know, but we often don't even realize that our filler words and just falling back on basic vocabulary are quietly sabotaging our authority the second we step into a room. When the pressure's on, we kind of just shrink our vocabulary down to this safe, basic set of words, right? And then we just pad out the rest of our sentences with fillers to kill the dead air.
And our source material hits the nail on the head here. It points out that those verbal crutches, the ums, the likes, the repetitive basics, they aren't just innocent quirks. They're literally the tiny cracks in the wall of your authority. Think about it. When you're trying to lead change or pitch a huge vision, every single word, nuance, and pause shapes how people perceive you. Relying on safe words for a false sense of comfort? It's basically whispering uncertainty right when you need to be roaring with conviction.
Section 1. Anatomy of Lexical Richness, the Science of Speaking Well.
Okay, so let's look at the first pillar of this science, pulled straight from the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research. It's called lexical sophistication. Basically, this is all about deploying advanced, precise words instead of leaning on everyday, high-frequency terms. It's the difference between saying a problem is, bad versus calling it egregious. When you use sophisticated vocabulary, you're packing in nuance. You're showing people you have absolute command over what you're talking about.
Next up is lexical variation. This one measures your ability to avoid sounding like a broken record. It's about using a diverse range of expressions. Look, if you use the word success or community 5 times in 2 minutes, your lexical variation is tanking. And the research is super clear here. Without a varied vocabulary, you end up sounding overly simplistic, and that completely kills audience engagement and clarity.
And finally, the third pillar, lexical density. This looks at how much actual, solid information you're conveying compared to the total number of words coming out of your mouth. It measures the ratio of heavy-hitting content words, your nouns, verbs, and adjectives, against the fluffy filler words. The data proves that the absolute most persuasive speech out there relies on a dense, rich balance of meaning, not fluff. Honestly, think back to your last project update. Were you delivering dense meaning or mostly fluff?
Now, the data on this next part is wild. Researchers analyzed this massive collection of prepared speeches, right? And they found that the average lexical sophistication was a shockingly low 5.37%. Let that sink in. That means nearly 95% of the words being used were just your basic, everyday vocabulary. This proves that relying too much on common words is a massive, widespread limitation. And that's even among people who are trying really hard to sound professional.
So why does upgrading that tiny 5% matter so much? Well, this theoretical framework explains it perfectly. It connects a diverse, sophisticated vocabulary directly to managing cognitive demands. Basically, according to cognitive load theory, using a rich, precise vocabulary actually reduces the extraneous cognitive load. Think about that for a second. Using precise words makes it easier for you to speak fluently, and way easier for your listeners to instantly grasp your ideas without having to decode a bunch of vague language.
Section 2. Eliminating your verbal crutches, the psychological barriers.
So, if all this science proves that precise words boost clarity and project authority, why on earth do we hesitate to use them? Well, it boils down to psychology. The sources highlight 3 main mental roadblocks. First up, pronunciation anxiety. You know, that very real panic of stumbling over a word like perspicacious mid-sentence and having to awkwardly cough to cover it up. Second is context uncertainty. Like, is amalgamate a bit too formal for a casual Tuesday morning sync? And third, the authenticity concern. We worry that if we suddenly upgrade our vocabulary, people will think we're being pretentious or just trying way too hard.
Section 3. The Daily Integration Routine. From Theory to Practice.
Okay, so to get past these mental hurdles, we need deliberate practice. You can't just swallow a dictionary and expect results, right? And this brings us to the core focus of today's explainer, a highly actionable step-by-step daily routine from the language experts at Lua. Here is your daily blueprint for naturally integrating advanced terminology. Step 1. Identify 5 high-leverage words that you actually need in your industry. Step 2. Write out 3 real-world sentence templates for each of those words. Maybe one for positive feedback, one for criticism, and one for an update. And step 3, this is the total game changer. You absolutely must practice them out loud for 2 minutes a day. Literally speak them to your webcam or practice in your car. You have to build that physical muscle memory in your mouth to finally crush that pronunciation anxiety.
And here's your target metric, 15 to 20. You're going to have to push through some initial awkwardness because linguistic data tells us it takes about 15 to 20 authentic uses of a new word before you hit the tipping point. But once you cross that line, it transitions from this forced conscious effort right into unconscious natural competence. It stops being a fancy word and just becomes, well, your vocabulary.
Section 4. Upgrading professional presence. Show, don't tell.
Let's look at what this shift actually does for your professional presence. We'll apply this daily routine to some real-world examples to show you how swapping out weak language for sharp, executive precision completely changes how people view your competence. Take a look at this one. Increase. It's a huge buzzword, just a basic, high-frequency crutch. But watch what happens when you replace increase with escalate. Escalate system efficiency. It immediately changes the vibe, doesn't it? It communicates that you can drive rapid, careful, aggressive change. You sound like a leader, taking action, not just an observer. And check out the power of nuance right here. Saying careful attention to detail is fine, but meticulous? Meticulous carries some serious rhetorical weight. When you describe someone's work as meticulous, you're conveying a profound respect for the rigor of their work. A respect that the word careful just completely misses. It shows everyone that you have a highly sophisticated eye for quality. Oh, here's another great one. Instead of saying you're going to increase the strength of a system, again with the increase, say you fortified it. Fortified the security system. By using fortified, you're projecting this incredibly strong, resilient, defensive posture. It's a dense, powerful word, and it instantly elevates how everyone in the room perceives your technical chops and your strategic mindset. Finally, let's think about the social dynamics at work. Swapping out a super common word like honest for candid doesn't just sound sharper, it actually demonstrates a lot of emotional intelligence. Candid feedback implies this professional, constructive openness. It shows you have a much more precise understanding of professional feedback dynamics than just saying, hey, I'm being honest. Look, the words you choose are literally the architecture of your authority. So I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Thinking about the daily integration routine we just walked through, which single advanced word are you going to identify, write templates for, and speak aloud today so you can completely command your next room? Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer. I challenge you to go start building that muscle memory right now.